Welcome back for week 2 of the all-time rosters franchise with the greatest players in NFL history. Kansas City at Detroit begins the week 2 docket, and Priest Holmes scores the first touchdown here to lift the Chiefs in front in the middle of the fourth quarter by 12. But Detroit caps off a long drive with this Amon-Ra St. Brown score, and the Lions are back in the game, and the defense does its job forcing the 3-and-out of Charles in Kansas City, and then Lane bounces back with another great start to the drive here. A deep shot to Calvin Johnson, but 2 plays later with a little over a minute to go, the quarterback makes the biggest mistake of the day, a pick 6 from Tyrann Mathieu to clinch Kansas City's first win of the season. Lane has played well this year, but the mistake cost them the win 19-7. Pittsburgh should be there at the very end of the all-time rosters franchise. They are absolutely one of the favorites to win it all this season. They debuted their home season with a drubbing of Seattle today. Big Ben Roethlisberger throws a pair of touchdown passes, including this one to one of the best receivers in NFL history, Antonio Brown, beating Kenny Easley, and the Steelers win this one 17-6. The Raiders in Orchard Park to battle the all-time Buffalo Bills. Raiders had one of the greatest rushing performances in franchise history today, jumping out to the early 14-0 lead. Kelly's first interception returned by Hayes for a 25-yard touchdown, and then Bo Jackson gets in the touchdown party with one himself. 176 yards rushing today for Oakland, Las Vegas, including 113 out of Marcus Allen. Star quarterback Cam Newton and the all-time Carolina Panthers, heavy underdogs in their home opener against the all-time Green Bay Packers in the rain. But Newton didn't know that on the opening drive as he marches the team right downfield, led by star receiver Steve Smith and D'Angelo Williams, who runs for 9 and a touchdown. Panthers led by 7 at the end of 1. But Green Bay would come alive, led by their star quarterback and Aaron Rodgers. After that one to Kaufman, Rodgers throws him into the lead with Don Hudson from 47, and the Packers would pull away in the second half. This is Aaron Jones for the score. Green Bay wins 27-10. Star receiver Don Hudson is averaging 37 yards a catch, and he is second in receiving this year. The all-time mixture of the Tennessee Titans and the Houston Oilers, led by star running back Earl Campbell. Now, Campbell essentially lost the game a week ago against Jacksonville with his fumble late in regulation of their overtime loss. He made up for it with a pair of touchdown runs. Meanwhile, the Ravens' Lamar Jackson was sacked 6 times on the day. Nearly sacked here on a third down incompletion, and the Titans-Oilers win this one 17-9. Peyton Manning and the all-time Indianapolis Colts, Jim Brown reigning Offensive Player of the Week, and the all-time Cleveland Browns. Winner improves to 2-0. It was Brown's teammate Otto Graham that stole the show, out-dueling Peyton Manning. Hanford Dixon's second interception of the season has brought back 45 yards for the touchdown, and Graham finds the end zone again, a wide-open Dante Lavelli, and a Browns rout. But with 4 minutes left in the game, Manning would pad his stats, a touchdown to Hilton, and then on 4th down, going for Hilton in the end zone, this pass is incomplete. A terrific performance from Cleveland throughout. And while the Colts' Peyton Manning throws for 346 yards in this one, the leader out of the AFC North, tied with Pittsburgh, is the all-time Cleveland Browns at 2-0. Tom Brady was nearly perfect last week in Tampa Bay's win against Detroit. They now hit the road for the first time this season to battle Minnesota, and Brady finds the end zone again. That's tight end Jimmy Giles. It was 13-0 in this football game, but Minnesota bounces back, Cook with the score, and then the defense forces a 3-and-out. So Fran Tarkenton, who's had an underwhelming season, has a chance to salvage the young year, but loses a fumble. Derek Brooks ripped it away, and the Buccaneers recover. That's Mike Washington. And now Tampa Bay, after the Tarkenton turnover, has a chance to seal the deal on offense. First, the muscle hamster, Doug Martin. Here he goes with 1 first down and with 2 first downs against that great defense. And then here's Warwick Dunn, 4th in the league in rushing for Dunn this season, and he wins the game with this goal line touchdown. What a performance by Dunn and the Bucs, who are now 2-0. Defensive battle for week 2 of the season between undefeateds, the all-time Cardinals, and the all-time Redskins Commanders. Ball with his 3rd touchdown pass of the season, this one to Hall of Famer Charlie Taylor. Then in the 4th quarter, Jim Hart converts 3rd and long here to Roy Green. But on 4th and 2, they run the ball. This is Matson denied, and that defense, the league's #1 sack defense, preserves the lead and then helps win the game for Washington. Leading the way for this defense in sacks is Dexter Manley, now with 7 sacks this season for Washington, and led by that defense, they are now 2-0. The all-time Chicago Bears can join Washington at 2-0 with a win in the Bayou against the all-time Saints, and they would do just that in a big way on the road. Luckman after the Peyton score with a beauty to Harlan Hill. Now Drew Brees and the Saints would orchestrate their lone touchdown drive of the game to begin the second half. Alvin Kamara from 16, but this would be all Chicago. After a field goal in the 3rd quarter, Luckman would find Hall of Famer Mike Ditka for the clinching touchdown in the 4th quarter. The Bears are now 2-0, and it sets up one of the games of the year for Week 3 of the season as division rivals Chicago and Green Bay meet at Soldier Field. Winner will be 3-0. Week 2 slugfest in the rain from New Meadowlands between the all-time Jags and the all-time Jets. Hall of Fame running back Curtis Martin quietly was one of the greatest running backs in NFL history with 10 1,000-yard rushing seasons. Freeman McNeil finds the end zone 2 for New York, and the Jets put a thumping on the Jags, 28-7. Martin with 176 yards rushing today. In one of the hotly anticipated games of the young season, the all-time 49ers battle the all-time Cowboys, and the winner is 2-0. We pick up the action of the close of the opening drive. Jerry Rice on a jet sweep goes 34 yards for a touchdown, breaking a Cliff Harris tackle, and the Cowboys safety would fracture his toe on that play and will miss the next month. Complete injury report available tomorrow. Meanwhile, the first play of the game for the Dallas offense is a 79-yard strike to the speedster Bob Hayes, and we are tied at 7. The next San Francisco drive, Terrell Owens would get under a deep shot from Joe Montana, and he's gone. A fireworks show in the 1st quarter, and we pick up the action in the 3rd with the Niners in front, 17-10. It appeared that Staubach threw the tying touchdown here late in the 3rd quarter as Bob Hayes reels it in, but the officials say no. When you look at the replay, he clearly was in bounds. Both feet in as Ronnie Lott makes the hit. They'd settle for a field goal. It's a 7-point game. Cowboys a chance to tie it in the 4th quarter. Smith with the first down. Perkins appeared to have the first down, but they say no. And on 4th and inches, they run a toss play. San Francisco all over it. The Niner offense would run out the clock and win the game 20-13. For the fans who paid a visit to Foxborough, they witnessed a bit of history for this one, the all-time Chargers and the all-time Patriots. Dan Fouts and the offense was red hot to begin the game. Fouts with a couple of touchdowns, Austin Eckler, and then Charlie Joyner gets under it. But then the quarterback makes a huge mistake as Ty Law returns for a touchdown. But he would make amends in a big way. 57 yards to John Jefferson, 31 yards to Charlie Joyner, and then Joyner again from 19 as the Chargers demolished New England, and Hall of Fame quarterback Dan Fouts, one of the first QBs in league history to throw for 5 touchdowns in a game. Hall of Fame day from Fouts. John Elway was pretty good in his day too, but Denver is winning with defense to begin the season, and they'd be 2-0 if they knock out Cincinnati today. Champ Bailey gets under the deep ball from Ken Anderson for the interception for Denver, his 2nd pick of the season, and that defense holds their opponent to a field goal yet again. Anderson just 132 yards on the day. Denver runs out the clock and wins it 9-3. This is the #1 scoring defense in the NFL this year. A Hall of Fame day last week for Dan Marino. He has a chance to do it again in week 2 of the season against the underdog all-time Texans. Miami's opening drive ends with his first mistake of the season, however, a 45-yard pick six from Danielle Manning. But the Dolphins make amends with points on each of their next 3 drives, a field goal followed by touchdowns from Paul Warfield and from 57 to Tyreek Hill. The Dolphins take a 20-10 lead into the fourth quarter. Ricky Williams would score his first touchdown of the season here to basically seal it, but Deshaun Watson, in the story of the ball game, is down on the play with a collarbone injury late in the fourth quarter. Backup C.J. Stroud would take his spot, and the former Rookie of the Year fires his first touchdown to Andre Johnson in a Miami win 27-17. Texans fans are holding their breath that Deshaun Watson will return. The Dolphins, meanwhile, 2-0 to begin the season. A good football game on Sunday night between the all-time Atlanta Falcons and the all-time Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles won on a squeaker against the Rams last week. Meanwhile, Atlanta was blown out at Chicago. 9-3 lead for the Eagles at the break. In the third quarter, Atlanta's opening drive would end with this 46-yard beauty to Julio Jones, his first touchdown of the season. The Falcons' offense sputtered a majority of the second half, however, but got a big boost out of their punter, Matthew Bosher, who pins the Eagles inside the 1-yard line late in the game. In response, the Eagles would suffer a 3-and-out of their own end and would be forced to punt. Van Buren very close to sealing the win for Philadelphia. The Falcons, with a short field, would take advantage. A 31-yard strike from Ryan to Tony Gonzalez, and after a couple of timeouts called by the Eagles, Younghoe Koo would give Atlanta the lead. Now Philadelphia would need just a field goal to win the game, and Carmichael gets them off to a good start, but then lands inbounds. So they'd spike the ball. Final play of the game barring a penalty, and Cunningham's big arm not on display there. And the Falcons come back to defeat Philadelphia to win their first game of the season. A low-scoring battle out of the NFC between Blue Bloods in St. Louis, LA, and the New York Football Giants. The lone offensive touchdown of the day here from Eric Dickerson, and the Rams into the fourth quarter lead 7-3. Eddie Meter picks off an Eli Manning pass and returns for a touchdown for the Rams, but New York in response, they have to go the distance, and Eli finds Victor Cruz with his first catch of the season, but it was to no avail as the quarterback throws another interception to Jerry Gray, and the usually clutch Eli Manning had a very uneventful fourth quarter for the Giants offense. Fourth down, and it's knocked away here, and New York falls to 0-2 with this loss against the Rams, 17-3. Here's a look at Week 2 and a preview to the upcoming Sunday of the all-time rosters franchise. Coming up this week as a full game broadcast, one of the games of the year between the Blue Bloods and the NFC, the all-time Green Bay Packers and the all-time Chicago Bears. Here's a look at the division leaders across the all-time rosters franchise, and leading the way in the NFC East at 2-0, the all-time Washington Redskins Commanders, who will visit Dallas this week. Another great game to watch for Week 3 of the all-time rosters franchise. Leading the way in passing, the Chargers' Dan Fouts, Curtis Martin, number 1 by a mile in rushing, and the Saints' Michael Thomas edging Hudson in receiving. Les Richter, Rams linebacker with 22 tackles this season. The Redskins Commanders with Dexter Manley's 7 sacks. David Harris, Hanford Dixon, and Champ Bailey, all with 2 interceptions. It was a thrilling week for the all-time rosters franchise. We have the injury report tomorrow, a cinematic of Dallas and San Francisco later today, and a look at Week 3 coming up on the all-time rosters franchise. We appreciate all of you for tuning in throughout the year. For the rest of our outstanding team to make this league and this season possible, it is the all-time rosters franchise with Charge Dude 95.